My guest today is Victoria. Victoria has worked in the car business for around 17 years. Started on the sales floor, worked her way up into the box, and worked on the road as a facilitator in dealership super sales. In between that, I've recently learned she did some in-home sales selling windows. Victoria joins us from Vancouver. Thanks for being my guest.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Okay, first question. How many times have you been fired?
Okay, well, I don't know. Let me think here. At least 4 or 5.
That's
There,
it?
well, that's it. That's it. I mean, it is what it is. There are pros and cons with having a bold personality, working in a room full of strong ego.
I get it. I get it. Well, and I felt safe asking that because I've been fired a few times myself, right? Like from sales and sales management jobs. And for me, it sucks when it's happening, but then it also, I don't know, it's kind of a wake up call and sends you off in a different direction. For me, it did send me off in a different direction, and things have always got better from there. Has that been your experience?
Totally, yeah. Well, I mean, some of them you didn't see it coming, and it was kind of surprising, and some of them were like, "How the fuck have you not fired me yet? Like, how? Like, you're a fucking pussy."
I deserve to be fired. like
100%. Like I was way out of line.
like when you like realize you deserve to be fired, and then you're like kind of want to be fired, and then you're seeing how far you can push it.
Yeah, and then I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm out anyway.
Yeah, I quit. You can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly.
you worked on the sales floor. You worked in the box. That's our word in the car business for the business office or the financial services office. But a few years in between there, you worked as a facilitator doing the super sales, and I want to go there first because I know there's some kind of insane stories from that. So maybe first explain what these super sales are, because I've
So,
experienced them on the other side, but I want to hear how you would like describe this.
I think the super sale that you're talking about is a little bit different than what I was doing. So I worked for a marketing company that contracted dealerships, farm their database, set out like huge campaigns, text, email, whatever, a lot of cold calling, and then just set up a private sale from customers in the database. I was the facilitator, but everything was as per the dealership, like what their incentives were, things like that. The super sales I think that you're talking about are when they come in, they have their own finance team, they've got their own marketing, and they just absolutely rape and pillage. Like it's crazy what they do. They'll bury people in 8-year finances where the negative equity is higher than the loan, and the only reason they got approved for it is because they found out of 100 calls one person with good enough credit.
Yeah, I've experienced both. So I did one of those super sales just one time at a Mitsubishi dealership where I was a used car manager, and we brought in these absolute snakes, and like you described, they take over, they get into your database and they shred it. Like
Oh, it's rape and pillage.
they lie to everyone, and then they try to hammer people into these like absurd subprime loans. And I think this stuff maybe it flies more in the US where they're a little bit looser with credit, but in Canada, but the ones that you were doing too, and I won't say the name of the company, I don't want to get in trouble, but I've done those too from the sales manager side. And the company gives you like a catalog of different come-ons that you can use, right? Different flyers and campaigns that you can pick from. Like if anyone watching this, if you've ever got a letter like this is the stupidest one, but it also like probably works the best, and that's why you always see it. The fucking letter with the fake sticky note, and it's like, or no, the printed email with the fake sticky note, and like someone like it's a letter that comes to you. Someone got a hold of your address, or you gave your address to a car dealership. That's where it came from, and you get a letter. It's an email that someone printed off saying, "Hey, we need lots of Like, I had a friend call me the other day. I get a letter saying they're low on coupe inventory. They want my used BMW coupe that I just bought this summer. I'm like, nobody's low on coupe inventory. Anyways, printed letter. Hey, can you call this client? And then a fake post-it note. So anyway, so you pick your come on out of the catalog, and then you come in the facilitator or before, and then leading up to that, you ask the sales team to like book as many appointments as you can after this mail out and this campaign and text and all that. And then you come in and you kind of run the show for the weekend, right?
You do, yeah. So like there's training that goes into it, whether it's like word tracks or just cold calling techniques or whatever. So you spend there you can have a 3 or 5 day sale. The 3 day sale, you spend the first 2 days just like banging out calls from bell to bell. And it can be really successful. Like I've done sales where they've sold 46, like the best sale I've ever done was 46 cars in 3 days, which is really strong for sure. But I don't know. It's
It's
kind
hit or
of
miss.
a I don't know. It's a game for sure. Like the majority of the marketing goes out weeks before the sale even starts, and the majority of the sales are booked through call center girls that are like 18 years old working for a fucking $10 Starbucks gift card.
So okay, like a home run super sale, like you do, 46 units or whatever. What like you get a piece of that, right? What's your payday for something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, like you get a commission on each unit sold and delivered during the time you're there. So obviously there's an incentive to get as many deals as you can. The majority, I would of the car business, I would say is pretty inexperienced. So it's kind of hit or miss. You can be a lazy trainer and still make money and just sit on your ass and check people in and collect the worksheets and whatever. That's fine. But if you really want to make money, you're the one on the phone. You're the one qualifying. The customer comes in, you meet and greet them, turn them over to a salesperson to present the vehicle, go on the demo drive. When they come back and it's time to serve numbers, the real success is not letting salespeople serve payments.
Right, right. Get them in front of a manager or whatever.
Yeah.
So I always wondered, like, you put all this effort in, you send out the campaigns, you ask your sales team to book all these appointments, and then you come in, you're the sales facilitator. Like, I feel like you got to do two sales jobs because you got to go into this dealership cold in some little town in the middle of nowhere because this is a road job, and then you got to sit in front of this sales meeting on like the Thursday morning or whatever with all these sales guys that are looking at you like, who the fuck are you? Like,
100%.
is that the hardest part?
No, that's fine because you get to know
No.
people. You can break the ice. You can tell them a little bit about yourself, learn a little bit about them. That for me was never the hard part. It's like it's getting people to actually fucking work for sure. Because a
Mm,
lot of guys who have been in the industry for a year or more have done it at least on one sale. And if they had like a trash experience with it, they're not going to give a fuck. They're going to wait till these 3 days are over and go back to being on their phone all day, whatever the fuck. But
mm-hmm.
if you can get buy-in from the new kids and they listen to everything you tell them and just do exactly what you say, they will like and respect you. You will make the money and you will make money. So there is like you can be successful in the sales or it could be a total flop and it all depends on the buy-in from the team. But getting it isn't the hard part. That's easy.
Right. And so then you have a successful sale, that dealership probably asks for you by name for the next one they want to do, right?
100%.
Yeah. So
100%. Or if you're good on the phone or you're a closer, whatever it is, like if they want you back, you're guaranteed to make money.
right, right. Now, what I found too is like dealerships I worked at that use those companies, I felt like there was kind of a fine line between doing it too often because you kind of like
It's
abuse your database, right? Like you're leaning on the
yeah.
same people too much and sending them too many flyers and stuff. Like, is there a kind of a sweet spot? Because I know there's one manufacturer that was like, oh, these are great. Let's do them every fucking month
Yeah,
forever.
I was a resident trainer at one of these stores for this particular brand you're talking about, and 3 out of 4 weeks per month they had a trainer there
Oh my god.
making calls, boiler rooms twice a day, like the same people. Like you call people and they're like, "How many fucking times? Like, what do I have to say to get you to stop calling? Like, I don't understand what's happening here." And you're like, "Oh no, it's okay." Like you get into it, whatever. But it's some stores definitely abuse it for sure, and they burn every opportunity in their database. Like at any given time, the data shows that there's, 20% of people actively in the market are looking for cars. And if you've called those people 3 times in a month, asking them if they're ready to upgrade or the new car, there's zero chance you're going to get a fucking car from them. But
Yeah.
if you're a store that maybe has them once a year, once every 2 years, it is a really good way to just kind of shake up the database, stay in touch, introduce yourself as new consultant or whatever, just keep the relationship or build one. So it can be successful or it can be the death of success.
I remember once, and I was at a Toyota store, and we got into a little trouble because the facilitators used to be like, "I'm calling representing Toyota," and they got their wrist slapped for that. 'Cause Toyota didn't like that. It's like, yeah, you're not representing Toyota. I mean, okay, we hired you to help us in our sale, but there's maybe it's different with different
I
dealerships.
just said I was an upgrade specialist.
Upgrade specialist, love
It was
that. Put that on
broad.
your business card. If we want to upgrade your car, so I mean, the typical come on is like, we need your car or we need your truck, and we can get into a brand new one and keep your payment about the same. You're like, well, why wouldn't I
Yeah,
do
that's
that?
always kind of the hook. Like new car, similar payment. Would you be interested?
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's like you're going deeper in the hole and longer for the next
Fuck.
8 years.
Never,
You're
never
married.
plan.
Yeah, you're married to the car. The never plan. So like, what was your territory for that? How did you go all over the
So I
country or?
did BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. I remember I went a couple times to this one store in Camrose, Alberta, like just below Edmonton, and I had done a sale there. And I think it was like 6 or 7 months later, I came back to do another one. But in between that time, they had done a super sale, and I was going through the database and I was looking at people. I was like, okay, I remember like I got this guy into this car. Like, what the fuck is he doing in an 8-seater? He's like a retired old man. His grandkids live nowhere near him. I'm like, what has happened here? And then you call them and you're like taking these awful phone calls where it's like, please, like, can I just have my old car back? Or how
Oh
can I get
no.
out of this? And you're just like, oh, that okay, well, we'll call you back. We'll have someone review options with you, whatever. But you're like, this whole town is like buried in car debt.
Yeah, that must be tough. The small towns, it's like it's not a really deep database for them to dig into, and you.
No, it's not. And it's not like there's, like a lot of high earners in small towns. They can't afford these $110,000 Dodge Journeys.
Oh. What was the worst? What was the worst paper or the worst loan you ever put on a car? I mean, you might have just said it.
Geez, I don't know. Like, there's been so many. Honestly, I've had husbands and wives fighting in front of me because he can't live without a new truck, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing to our family? Like, we have $40,000 in negative equity, and you want a new truck? Like, how about we worry about paying this first?" And he's like, "No, well, I need the 3,500 so I can get this job and make money to pay for it." I'm like, this is so bad, like so bad. And these conversations are just happening right in front of you. And you want to be honest with them. You want to tell them, like, hey, this isn't in your best interest. This isn't the right move to make for you or your family right now. But at the same time, you want that commission. So it's like,
Well, so obviously you struggled with that. I know I did. And there was times where it was like that guy that you're describing that has convinced himself that he needs a new truck. Like, well, if he's not going to buy it from me, he's going to go down the road and buy it from the
yeah,
other guy.
exactly. That's just it. That's just it. I mean, you can counsel them, give them your opinion, advice, whatever. But at the end of the day, if they're there to buy the car, who the fuck are we to stop them? We're there to sell the car.
Yeah, yeah. They want to be married to the thing and 40 grand upside down. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like your job is to work for the dealership and hit the numbers, right? It's not to act in the buyer's best interest. They're
It
adults are going to
is.
make their decision, right? So okay, the road thing, working on the road, that get a little bit exhausting after a while, just going to all these small towns and waking up in hotels.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it'd be cool. I thought it'd be glamorous. I'd be this traveling car salesman getting paid to, travel around. But when I was doing it, so I did it in 21, 22, and it was kind of during COVID. So for whatever reason, a traveling car salesman was considered essential. Like, those memes where it's
Yeah,
like the guy in the pizza suit outside a busy road spinning the sign. He's like, how the fuck am I essential? That's
yeah.
how I felt every time. I'd go to an airport and it'd be like a ghost town. I'd take a flight and there'd be like 4 people on it. I'm like, this is just so surreal. But the lifestyle itself, I mean, I got burnt out from it pretty quick. No, I didn't like it. Like when I was new, when I first started, the company that I worked for gave you a travel or like a travel allowance, and if you went over it, they would top you up. But if you were under it, you got to keep it. So I was always thinking of ways. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just drive my own car. I don't give a shit about the mileage. I'll collect money there. And then I tried to find cheap hotels just to, pick up the extra money there too. And I remember this one place I stayed, like I've stayed at some fucking shitholes, like some real fucking shitholes. One of them though, the worst, like I don't care, I'll blast them. It was called the Imperial Motor Inn in Medicine Hat,
Oof.
and it was $55 a night. And when I went in there, there were fucking bugs everywhere. There was a toenail on the bed. The toilet didn't flush. And I was like, fuck, like, what am I gonna do? Like, this is disgusting. There's bikers everywhere. I go outside, I'm gonna go to smoke a joint, and there's like a biker gang outside my door. And I'm like, fuck, like, every second I was just terrified. I ended up going to Walmart and I just bought a fucking sleeping bag to sleep in my sleeping
Oh,
bag on top of the bed.
so there goes all the money you saved on your per diem or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I got rid of that real quick, or that idea. But yeah, I've been to some really remote places. I've been to Smithers, BC, Vanderhoof, and like selling a car is selling a car. It's kind of the same everywhere you go, but I don't know. Some places are just weird. Like you just feel like you really shouldn't be there. Like a town with a population of 2,000 people, and you're like, how many fucking cars do I expect to sell? When out of that 2,000, 1,500 are surrounding rural areas. Like
Hmm.
there's really only 500 people in the town. You're like, what kind of numbers do you expect to hit from this event? And the only
Well,
reason they're doing it is because the manufacturer co-op and they got to use the marketing dollars.
right, right.
And then
And you know the other thing too, that small town, like that sales guy selling that car and putting that guy in an 8-year loan with negative equity, like, it's like his neighbor and their kids play hockey together. Like he's got to look him in
exactly.
the eye every day.
Exactly.
Oof.
Yeah, there absolutely is that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's cool. You get to meet a lot of people. You get to see, some best practice, different processes, things that work, what makes people successful, what makes them unsuccessful. So, like the value of doing that job for 2 years is huge for sure, and I've taken a lot of things with me and learned a lot from it, but the lifestyle itself is just fucking awful. It's shit.
Yeah, you think it's going to be fun and it's like lonely and miserable.
It is, yeah. And I like, because I'm single and like I enjoy my single life. And I remember this one time, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I have Tinder and all those apps. I don't give a shit about them these days. But back then, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm going to go find someone. I'll smoke a joint with them. I'll get to know a little bit more about this town, maybe see a cool place, whatever. And like, it was a small town. I think there was 50 or 60,000 people. Well,
It's the sales guy from the next day.
listen to the story. Okay, so
Sorry.
I'm like talking to this guy, whatever, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'll smoke a joint with you. And he's like, oh, what do you do? Like, why are you here? Whatever. And I said, oh, I'm here for an event. I'm at a car dealership for the next couple days. And he's like, what? He's like, I sell cars. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Like, what brand do you work for? So the brand he was at, there are two dealerships in the town with the same brand. The only store or the only town with two stores of the same brand. So, anyways, I was like, oh fuck. I was like, you're my competition, buddy. I'm sorry to say. Anyways, so after I was talking to him for a couple minutes, I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I don't want to meet this guy. I don't give a shit. No. The next day I go into the dealership and this fucking crypt keeper looking old sales guy who's been there for like 40 years. He looks like death. He's like, I heard you went on a date with Sean. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, where
Sean.
am I? This fucking Twilight Zone shit. I was like, A, no, I didn't. B, how the fuck did that get to you within like 14 hours? Like, where am I? There, yeah.
You're
And
in a small town. Welcome.
yeah, you're in a small town and you meet some cool people and you meet some weird people and it's really a mixed bag out there for sure. I would say, well, hands down by far without a doubt, absolute worst place I've ever been. And I called my boss after like 3 hours of being there. I was like, if you care about me at all, you will never send me here again. Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Oh boy.
Fuck, what a different world that place is. And I'm sorry if anybody from Saskatchewan is listening. Not trying to shit on your towns or anything, but this place is like it is an absolute twilight zone. It's terrifying.
How was the motel there?
It was fucking awful. So all the reviews, because typically, so when I was on the road, like I wouldn't book anything in advance. I'd wait till I get to the city and then just find something when I arrived. And when I got there, every fucking hotel had like the worst reviews. It's like people steal or this or that or whatever. So anyway, I found like some Best Western. It was right across the street from the dealership, and So I checked in, and the first night I was there, I woke up and I was like, 6 o'clock already? What the fuck? No, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was awoken by the sound of people stealing everything from the room beside me. They were walking out with the couch, they had the little Chesterfield, they had the TV, the mattress, like just fucking stripping the
Ransack the
room.
place.
And then so in the morning, I was like telling the lady at the desk, I was like, hey, like, I think someone stole everything out of the room, like next door. And she's like, yeah, we're dealing with that, whatever. And then she goes on to tell me that, so I arrived on like a Monday. The Friday before I got there, there's a bar attached to the hotel, and somebody got drunk and started waving their fucking gun around and like firing shots in the bar. I was like, what? I was like, did it go into the hotel? They're like, yeah, one of the bullets did. I was like, how are you talking about this so casually? And then when I was at the dealership, like, I thought the guys were fucking with me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get a salad from Superstore, which was just down the road. They're like, no, 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 like, don't go to that one. I was like, why? It's fucking Superstore. And they're like, oh, there was a murder there last week. Yeah. So some guy, there was this homeless guy. It's kind of a fucked up story. I feel bad saying it, but anyway, long story short, this guy was like, I don't know what his story was, but he's beating up this girl. So this other guy stepped in to help him. The guy, the aggressor, then stabbed the guy trying to help in the head, started
Ooh.
doing donuts in his truck in the parking lot, and was like, fuck you, I hope you die, like, fuck the police. And I was like, okay. And again, I thought they were fucking with me, so I Google it. Nope, it was real. It happened. And then the same article led on to all these other incidents that recently happened at the superstore, where this other guy went in completely naked and started rubbing meat on his dick and like throwing it. I was like, where the fuck am I?
So how many cars did you sell?
Three. We got three cards.
You'll never forget that.
No, it was awful. I
Not
hate.
not really worth the trip. Did you fly in or did you
No.
drive?
I flew to Saskatoon, and then I drove, I think it was about an hour and a half or 2 hours to PA, and yeah.
All right. Well, I'll cross Prince Albert off my bucket list, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why
don't.
they named the piercing after it.
No, yeah, that was shitty. I don't know, like being on the road there's some really, really good dealerships out there too in some of the smaller towns. One of my favorite dealerships that I went to quite a bit, I was usually there, I would say about 10 times a year, if not
Wow.
more. A small store in Salmon Arm. I don't know if I should say the name or not, but excellent people, excellent store, excellent process. Really, it's the best balance between providing a good service, giving people a fair deal, and still making a healthy profit.
Yeah, you know what? I when I bought my car, my Subaru, the place I dealt with was like that. I'm like, you know what? You go ahead and put your sticker on the back of my car. I'll like if
Yeah.
I was gonna have my own dealership, Taylor King Motors, I would have run it the way they did. So like, it's nice when there's a credit to the business and people that really run a
Yeah,
like
totally.
a clean business like that. And you've seen them all. You've seen the full spectrum.
I have.
Did you
I
ever like?
have.
Did you ever work a weekend at a place and be like, man, are you guys hiring? Like, can I just stay here?
Oh, yeah, I've been offered jobs at quite a few stores that I was at for sure. And if I was okay with living in a smaller town, I would absolutely, without a doubt, consider it for sure. But town life just isn't really for me.
Not the life for you. Yeah.
Nope.
So you did that, what, about 2 years,
2 years, yeah.
and just got a little burnt out from being on the road and a little bit burnt out from the car business. And I think this happens to a lot of people that spend a lot of time in the car business, and you
Well,
want to try something else, right?
it wasn't necessarily burnout from the car business. Like, I mean, I started as a parts driver. I sold cars for a couple years. I was internet sales manager. I got into finance in 2013. So it's kind of like I didn't really have a huge desire to manage anyone. Like, I don't give a fuck about developing people or that side of things. So I felt like, sure, go back to the finance office. It's easy. It's always going to be there. But I wanted to try something new. So, but still, like with like a high earning potential. So I found this company. It was an American company, and they sell windows. And it's like a specific. It's like a composite material. It's 4 times more expensive than any other window on the market. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. Like, I'll just give it a try. The training was intense. Like their process is super, super fucking rigid. They've got a team of like inside sales, if that's what you want to call them, like a call center,
Mm-hmm.
basically qualifying and setting qualified appointments. So I would just come in, do the in-home visit, present, demonstrate, try to close on the first visit, because that's the only way you get paid. But the difference, and like windows and cars, it's kind of like the similarity between them is it's not a specific type of person that buys a car or a specific type of person that needs a window. It's everybody. So the difference is when you're at a dealership, people come to you. They're in your house,
Mm-hmm.
and there's, I don't want to say a level of professionalism, because it's not, but it's a more professional environment. When you go to someone's house to try to sell them a window, they're in the comfort of their own fucking domain. Like, it's a totally different experience. And I've gone to, like, man, I've been in so many houses, it's crazy. It's really a mixed bag out there. Like, there's a lot of normal everyday people that, you know, they want to invest in their house, whatever. It's a good qualified lead that will probably lead to a sale. But fuck, like some places that I've been to, I was really, really, really surprised. Like, it was a huge eye opener how many hyper religious people are out there.
Mm.
Hyper religious. Like, I remember I went to this one house, and it was in Abbotsford, like kind of at the edge, just before there's nothing. And these people, I'm like, do you even want to quote on a new fucking door? Or did you just bring me here to share the word of the Lord?
Oh no,
Like, they,
they're selling
no,
you.
it's crazy. And they were so, like, so far gone that they even asked me to put, when I came in there, they asked me to put my cell phone in this magnetic bag.
No.
So I'm not joking. And then they were like giving me all this propaganda and information, telling me about how their grandkids are in school, and this whole trend, I guess, if that's what I know it's a sensitive topic. I don't want to be politically incorrect, but the trend of transgendered or gender fluid or whatever you want to call it, they were telling me that this is actually the plan from the devil to,
Mm-hmm.
what was it, womanize the men to make them weak. So when the time comes to fight, we don't have anyone to protect the human race. And I was just sitting there, I was like, okay, how am I going to pivot back to this fucking door? Like,
So, do you still want the door? Or?
right. It's like, oh, okay, so, you know, when do you mostly notice a draft? Is it in the morning, or is there a specific time? Like, when is it most uncomfortable? Trying to find that pain and urgency, and all they want to do, all they want to talk about is God and the devil and which side I'm on. And I was like, are you gonna kill me? Like, what? I don't know. I really don't know what to say here, how to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, like, are they going to lead you into a soundproof room with a padlock on the outside of it? Or?
Yeah, well, I remember too, these people, so as crazy as they were, the guy, he mid rant, so it was me, him, and his wife, and we're sitting on their couch and their chair in the living room, and mid rant, he's like, you'll have to excuse me. He gets up, and his wife tells me that he, like, has problems with his bowel. So
Oh
him
my
and his,
god.
or he went to go take a shit, and his wife and I are sitting there in awkward silence, waiting for him to come back and continue his rant. And I was like, just thinking, I was like, how did I get here? Like, how is this my life? I really don't think this is what I'm meant to do.
Did they buy a
So
door? A
they didn't
door?
buy a door. They fucking wanted to convert me to their church, and I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you. Like, let me take some time to consider." But I remember this one house, the worst though. Well, there's so many stories I could give you. I'll make this one short. One house I went into, it was this guy, and he was in like his early 50s, and he seemed pretty normal. I, you know, knocked on the door for the scheduled appointment time, and he was in his underwear cooking breakfast. So, okay, whatever, just go through my process, try to get to the next step, which at one point during the process, you have to go around and measure all the windows so you can quote them. And so I go upstairs to this weird little fucking makeshift attic type thing that he built himself. And I was like, okay, am I gonna, like, I'm crashing through the floor? Anyway, as I'm going up the stairs, and again, so this guy's in his or early 50s. He's telling me about all his grandkids. He had kids when he was like 17 years old. His kids had kids when they were teenagers, and he's like just got all these fucking people in his family. I was like, damn. So anyway, I go up the stairs and I start seeing all these dick statues, and I was like, what the fuck? Like carvings of dicks and like just dicks everywhere. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So anyway, I go up into his little built on fucking loft, and there's this lady who's like,
No.
she's like pure white hair. This lady is like mid to late 70s
In
at
the attic?
least. in the attic on his bed wearing lingerie and with like fucking dick statues everywhere. Like everything was just a
Oh
shrine to
boy.
dicks and like all this BDSM shit and like whips and leather and cuffs and everything. And she's just looking at me and I'm looking at her and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, where am I?
So
Where
did you
the
measure the
fuck am I?
windows?
So, well, yeah, I did. I measured the window and he comes up like a couple minutes after me. And this lady and I said nothing to each other. Like, it was so awkward. And he's like coming up in his underwear, just making small talk. And just all I can think about is like, what the fuck goes on up here? Like, what kind of shit do you guys do? Like, you walk outside, like, if you go for a walk in your neighborhood and you see a house, you're like, okay, family lives there. No, shit goes down there. Weird shit goes down there. There's an old lady, there's a 50 fucking something year old grandpa who's like obsessed with dicks. Like, what a world we live in. I
Did,
went to this one
did they
lady's
buy
house
any
too.
windows?
No, we couldn't afford fucking anything. And like they offer financing. So I said, okay, let's scale it back. We can start with some of your worst windows and, pay these off and then we'll revisit the other ones later. This guy fucking couldn't finance shit. Yeah. Like one of the lowest credit scores I've ever seen. And I'm like,
Nice
who
qualified
is
lead.
qualified?
Yeah.
Exactly. Who is qualifying these
Thanks,
fucking
call center.
appointments? Right? It's crazy. But one more story about the window job
Yeah,
because
keep
this one's
going.
funny. So I went to there's this kind of suburb area called Aldergrove, and it's kind of weird. So anyway, I went out to Aldergrove, and this lady, her name was Kay. She looked like a fucking witch. Like she had frizzy white hair that literally stuck out to the side. And so I go into her house and everything is ducks. Like there's obviously mental health issues. Everything is like ducks and spoons and whatever. And then I hear all this like chicken noises or bird noises or whatever the fuck. So she's like, "Oh, like I'll show you my pigeons." I was like, "Okay." So she takes me into the back area of her kitchen and the fucking back door is boarded shut with like nails, like boards of wood against the door nailed in. And I was like, "You don't use the back door?" She's like, "No, they keep breaking in." She's like, "It's the only thing that keeps them out." I was like, "Okay." Anyway, she had like 12 pigeons that had been in her kitchen in cages for 17 years. 17 fucking years. And I was like, I don't know, should I call the animal health control? Like, I don't know. This is fucking torturous for them. I felt awful. Anyways, so I'm thinking, I'm like, how the fuck would this lady, like, why does she want these super high end windows? So I'm like, oh, okay, like, I'm just curious, like, what prompted you to, to look into a quote or to get an appointment? And she's like, so the house that she lives in, yeah, she owns it. Her dad bought it for her in like the 70s. She's never had a job. She doesn't have a cell phone. She doesn't have a computer. She has a landline and she has a TV with no cable that only gets 4 American channels. So she saw a commercial for like this free quote on fucking Windows and called the number. So it was some dispatcher in the middle of the states who were trying to like find Vancouver to get her an appointment. And she's like, so finally they pieced it together. She's like, no, I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada. So the division or the store in the States put her through to the Canadian location that I worked at and they made her an appointment. And I'm like, okay, so when you were on the phone, like with the person who made this appointment, like, did you give them any information? Were they asking you questions? Like, thinking again, who the fuck booked this appointment? And she's like, nope, I just told them that I wanted someone to come in and look at my windows and they made a time for me. I was like, okay, great. So, anyway, the quote was for the windows was more than she had originally paid for the house. She's like, but I don't have a job. Like, how am I supposed to pay for that? I was like, that's a really good question, Kay. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not the right time for new windows. Anyway, so I'm getting ready to leave, and she's like, "Wait, I want to show you something, and I can't wait." So she walks me into her bedroom, and she's got at least 200 porcelain Victorian dolls, like those fucking 1920s, 1820s looking shit. Each doll has a tag on their wrist with their name on it, and I was like, oh, this is a really lovely collection. Like, how long did it take you to get all these? She's like, I've been collecting them for 40 years. I was like, so you just like get them and keep them in this room? She's like, it's their room. I was like, okay, sorry. I was like, fuck, I need it's crazy out there. It's a mixed bag. It's a weird world and it's a little bit
Going
of
into
everything.
going into strangers' houses for a living. That's a different level. I don't know if you listened to the episode with Graham selling vacuum cleaners, but like, and what you said is important too. Like you're in their house. Like anyone watching or listening, like Victoria's like what, 5 foot nothing, 100 pounds. Like, was there?
I've had some pretty uncomfortable experiences too. I'm like, you know what? I should get the fuck out of here. Like this guy, he's not gonna buy windows, and this is getting super fucking weird.
Well, I mean, the S&M dungeon in the attic. Most people probably would have just like ran away, like leave their stuff and just run, get in their car, and never, not even look back.
No, I was actually like taking it all in. I was like, oh, I can't wait to call one of my friends. I was like, I can't wait to fucking tell him about this one.
So it was worth it for the stories, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You wouldn't have all these stories.
Well, the process too, like their training, like it is a very high pressure American approach for
Mm-hmm.
sure. But I mean, like it does work on certain people if you do it right, if properly executed. And I did learn like some really cool skills from that experience.
So you said something important, but like the American style approach, because for all these years as a sales manager in car dealerships, you know, I've been to all these different boot camps and all these different consultants and trainers, and a lot of them coming up from the States. And like, I would always butt heads with them because I'm like, that doesn't work on Canadians. Like, I feel like, I don't know, tell me if you agree with this, but like there's a, maybe more of an expectation in the US for someone to really push you, and maybe a little bit more respect from the customer of like, you know, or they're maybe more prepared to be kind of hustled and pushed. Whereas I find Canadians, generally speaking, are more passive and just like kind of leave me alone. Like, have you
I
found that?
I mean, like, well, I've never sold anything in the States, but I feel like the difference between city and towns is cities, it's more of a transactional kind of relationship, whereas in towns, it's more like relationship for sure
Mm-hmm.
selling. So, you know, they want the whole fucking experience. They want to tell you about their kids. They want to know about your life. They want to, you know, make it a feel good deal. Whereas, you know, some places in bigger cities, it's like, nobody gives a shit. Like, just you're there to buy a car, fucking sell them a car. And honestly, like, I do prefer a transactional approach. I do because it's just easier for sure. But you have to be comfortable with, you know, having an uncomfortable conversation. So I don't know, pros and cons to both. Like, sure, maybe you'll make a little bit more money on the relationship style selling, you know, because people like you, they trust you, whatever. They're not going to ask for a discount or hammer you for one. Whereas transactional saves a lot of time, but you might not make as much money with a more experienced buyer.
Right. And you got to do the volume, and you might never see that person again. Right. Like maybe
Exactly. And
that's
that's
the
how,
difference.
absolutely. And that's how that's the thing I always told everybody. I'm like, because I remember, and I'm sure you remember too, like when I was selling cars for you, I was really young and I was really naive. And you and Jerome would be like, oh, where the fuck's your customer? Like, where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where's the deal? I'm like, no, you don't understand. They really like me. They'll be back.
They're definitely coming back.
They're definitely coming back. They love me. They're only buying a car from me. And you learn pretty quick that they don't give a fuck about you. So you really have like a one shot, one shot to get it done.
Unfortunately, that's usually the case. Yeah. So okay, now you talked about, okay, so the window company, you described this very rigid sales process, like kind of scripted, like then say this, and here are your responses to their objections. Like, now, did you ever find working in the box was a little bit like that, where like a more consistent, rigid approach work? Now, for the benefit of
Well,
people listening that have never worked in a car dealership, so when you buy a car, this is some feedback I've got from this podcast. It's like you're talking too much shop. You got to explain it to people that don't do it. So you buy the car, you sit down with a salesperson, you get a deal, then you are introduced to the finance manager or the business manager, and you're going to a closed office. We call that, in the business, we call that the box. And so this is what Victoria's doing. She's that finance manager. And you know, the kind of trick that I think most people have figured out by now is, it's like, you think you're going in to, you know, see someone to arrange the payment and financing, but you're actually going in to see another salesperson that's going to sell you, you know,
100%.
insurance products and sell you financing that they get a kickback on, and sell you chemical products that are kind of worthless. But anyways,
Environmental protections, Taylor.
right. Yeah. Noise shield. So now I want to hear what you think about this, but like, working in the business office is one thing that I never did in all those years in the car dealership. I just didn't feel like it was a good fit for me, because I just didn't feel like I could pitch that same product the same way over and over again, like with the menu selling and all that. Did you ever struggle with that, or did you
No, no, not at all. Not at all. Because the thing is, like, so if you've done other jobs in like the car business aside from finance, you'll you'll have an appreciation for it. Like there, it really is the sweet spot for income versus responsibility. I mean, there's really no prospecting, there's no follow up. Like it's kind of a one and done. Like you'll make all your money in 30 minutes, and that's how I prefer it. Like
You know,
without
I've
a
said to
doubt.
people, like, looking back on my career in the car business, I've said to them, like, that is the cherry job
It
in a
is
dealership,
absolutely
right? Because, like, for exactly that reason you described, like, I spent a lot of years as a sales manager. Now I'm responsible for all those sales guys and
for performance of others.
making sure they perform, right? And that's a lot of pressure, right? But you sitting there in the box, it's like, just get as much money out of you as you can, keep your averages high,
Absolutely.
right?
No, it's great. I love the finance office. Like, I mean, there is value to everything that's available to you when you buy a car. And like, I like to, when I first meet someone, I kind of have like a handful of questions that I ask everybody because I'll know where their interest lies or where, I have the best shot at making money. But I do go through every product with every customer because you'd be surprised. You think like, who the fuck is gonna put paint sealant on the car? They can go to Canadian Tire and buy a $30 bottle of wax,
Shh.
wipe on, wipe off. But you know what? Once you get to talking to people and you're like, no, like I hate when I have bird poop on my car. Okay, bingo. Me too. I've got just the stuff for you. Like it's
It's $1,000.
I won't go too far into that side of things, but no, I do love the finance office. There is something for everyone. If you have a 5-minute conversation, you can get most of the information you need to know which approach you're going to take, or what you're going to start with, or what's going to be easiest for you. But it's definitely the better role in the dealership. You're not responsible for anyone but yourself. There's no bullshit, there's no back and forth. They're not shopping against three other fucking people for a difference of $100. Like it's a one and done. It's
They've already
great.
bought the car, right? They're
They've
not
already
leaving.
bought the car, their emotions high. You can close. Like that's the thing too, like working in the finance office is like the challenges are different for sure, but it's so much easier to be successful in finance than it is on the floor. And you don't have to be super organized. Yeah, it's
Well,
great.
and you said you're more comfortable in that transactional type deal where it's like, do the deal, see you later, never see you again. Even working on the floor, you got to follow up. You're going to contact your owner base. You're going to,
Yeah.
work people over time, right? And try to build a relationship to some extent, right?
Well, and that's fine. Like I've been there, done that too. I've had like stores when I was on the road where, I've sold the same customer twice, like in 2 years, just upgraded them. Staying in touch, being like, hey, you know what, you bought it at a really great time, you got a really good discount. I just got this coming in. If I could get you into a similar car or into a new car for a similar payment, would you be interested? And they're like, yeah, you know what, whatever, I got nothing to lose. Let's check it out for sure. So like that's nice too. That's a good way to do business, but I like the one and done.
Yeah. It's funny, like that customer too. Nobody needs that new car. And
No.
nobody, and at first they're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with my car. But then, I learned this selling cars, like they get in that brand new car and it has the new gadgets and it has that
Yeah,
smell and
exactly.
everything. And they're like, same payment. Well, why wouldn't I? Like they're going to talk themselves into it, right?
Absolutely. You gotta treat yourself sometimes, Taylor.
Yeah,
You
you
work
deserve
hard.
it.
You deserve it. Or
Love
my
that.
favorite, a really good line is, if you're doing a cold call or following up with someone, who maybe bought a year ago or whatever, and you ask them, you're like, okay, great. Oh, so you're happy with the car. Awesome. If you're happy, I'm happy. But I got one question for you. If you could go back and do everything all over again, what's one thing you would do different? And they will always fucking tell you, like there'll always be something. Okay, well, if I could get you a black one, or if I could get you a sunroof or whatever, and it just opens up this whole conversation, and you'd be surprised how often it works.
I've done that. I've used that line. They always, every single time, 99 times out of 100, wish they bought the higher model. I wish I would have
Yeah,
got the limited, or I wish I would have got the SLT or whatever, right? Like,
yeah,
only for $20 more a month, and I could have had all that stuff.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Well, for $20, would you want to now? Why
yeah.
don't you come in and take a look? We'll go
It's
over your options.
it's
No
only
pressure.
it's only $20 a week for the rest of your life. An extra $20 a week. That's the thing too when you're selling financial services products, right? It's like, okay, you're not selling a $3,000 warranty. You're saying, hey, I can get you an extra 6 years of warranty. It's only going to be an extra, $17 every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, like as time goes on, the job of a finance manager definitely gets a lot easier. And, I don't want to give away too many secrets or, make the industry look bad or whatever. But the more tech they put in cars, I'm telling you, the fucking easier it is to sell a warranty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all you have to do is show a couple of invoices from the service department. Like here's how much it costs to replace the head unit in a new Ram 1500 if when it's out of warranty and it's like this $7,000 bill
Or
or
you just
something.
tell
Right?
them, you're like, look, if your touchscreen stops working, what are you going to do? Like, that controls everything you use in the car from the second you come in to the second you get out. Like, what are
Mm-hmm.
you going to do?
How's your performance on life insurance? Because I know that's like the really top business
To
managers.
be
They
honest
just
with
killed
you,
on the life and disability.
no, I like, and see, for me, so again, without getting too deep in industry stuff, the life and disability is not the product that I would ever put focus on because you can have like you can make more money selling different things, like certain things you can adjust the profit in it, but with life and disability, why it's pushed so hard is that the majority of the cost goes to the company underwriting the insurance. So for them, you're literally printing money. So they push it so fucking hard because it's
Mm-hmm.
in their best interest. It's not best for the customer, it's not best for my commission, it's best for the underwriter. And I kind of saw that from day one, just with the reps that came in and trained me and told me all about it and whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, if I can make this much selling your fucking life policy, but I can make this much selling a ceramic coating, like, why the fuck? Tell me where it makes more sense for me to put my effort. Oh no, you need this, you need to. But I saw through it really quickly. I'm like, you know what? Life and disability is kind of a hustle. Like, and if you actually, because I did spend the time reading all the provisions, all the contracts, all the exclusions, everything it's actually kind of like it's pretty difficult to claim on one of those
Mm-hmm.
policies if something does happen.
So it's pure
And I
gravy
don't
for
want to
most
like
guys.
shit on it, but it's
You mentioned those reps. So there's these reps that come along and they represent the company that sells the dealership their financial services product, their chemical product, and their insurance and their warranty and that sort of thing. I got one of those guys in a private conversation over a beer. That is like the easiest job in the world. Those guys
I
make
know.
way more than you think
I
they do.
know account
Yeah.
management. It does, but the only thing is though, like, because I did look into it, and when I was leaving, when I was like, okay, you know what, fuck Windows, like this is not for me. I'm absolutely going back to finance. Before I started applying at dealerships again, I kind of looked into B2B and account management and whatever, but I think for me, it just, I don't know. Every company that I interviewed with all have commission caps. And I just don't see, like, I'm like, okay, so if you want a strong, motivated salesperson, but you're telling them that if they hit all the KPIs, this is what they're going to make, like, who the fuck do you think you're going to get?
Yeah.
Like, you
That's the
want
whole
that
point of
100%
going in
commission.
sales. That's the whole
Yeah,
point of going in sales.
exactly.
That no limit on what you can
Exactly.
make, right? Give yourself a raise anytime.
Yeah, and I mean, the money was okay. It was fine. It would be considered like high earning, but there's no motivation.
Right. Right. I guess if you just want a chill job where you work, 4 hours
Exactly.
a week
Yeah.
and play a lot of golf.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want a chill job, 9 to 5, sure, fill your boots. But I
Yeah.
don't like scheduling has never been a problem with me. Like, I'm fine with retail hours. Everyone's like, oh, you're stuck in the retail jail. You're working bell to bell at the dealership. I'm like, I am for sure, but I'm also getting paid.
Hmm.
Like, for me, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like you want to make those paychecks, you put in the hours, right? You got to figure out a way to make it fun when you're there all day.
Oh, yeah. No, dealerships are the best. Car salesmen are the best. It's a great time.
I I won't lie, I do kind of miss it. I did have a lot of fun. I mean, from the management end though, you have to eat a lot of shit. Like you have to eat a lot of shit from the owners and the general manager and stuff. And that part I definitely don't miss. But I do miss the environment. It was some good times. We had a good crew back in
We did. We had the
2007.
dream team.
Yeah.
It was a great. That's yeah. The Hyundai store we worked at was awesome. That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun. But
Hey,
and that's like the whole industry. Like the towns I went to, the cities I went to. Generally speaking, most dealerships are pretty fun.
yeah, they're having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice like, on the sales floor, mostly males, right? Like
Yeah.
you were one exception that made a go of it as a woman, but then like But then when you get into the business office, it seems like kind of half and half. Do you have any theory of why that might be?
I mean, I do like, I don't know. In my humble opinion, I think that GMs or GSMs want females in the finance office just because it's a little bit easier to build that instant rapport or trust. Like, I don't know if there's anything more to it, but just being a girl, I think it's just a little bit easier for you to break down those barriers and, make people feel a little more comfortable. And for sure, like one huge advantage for me is being short. Absolutely. Everyone looks like, oh, you're so short. You're so... I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Nobody's intimidated by you.
Nope, no
Yeah.
one.
And
And
then
it
and
makes
then
it
you
easier to
rip their
have
head off.
the exactly. Well, you got to have because that's the thing in finance. Like nobody is going. I mean, sure, maybe one or two will, just be a complete laydown, but the majority of people are already stretched on budget. They're already tight. They got pushed up a trim on the floor, and now
Mm-hmm.
their whole budget's gone to shit. So you're trying to get an extra $100 a month out of these people, and you have to be firm, and you have to have uncomfortable conversations, which I think is a lot easier for a friendly female.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, we're coming up almost an hour. This has been a lot of fun. I maybe if just to finish it off, I would ask you like if you went back and started over in the car business, would you do anything different? And then second part of the question, like
Mhm.
any advice for young women that are thinking they want to work in a dealership or work in the car business?
I mean, would I do anything different? Yeah, a lot of things. Absolutely. Fuck. But I mean, at the end of the day, I personally do my best learning through making mistakes. So no, I don't think I would do anything different because I'm very happy with where I am now, and the level I've achieved and the experience I've gained and whatever. That's all great. In terms of people wanting to get into the business, I don't really honestly think it matters if you're a guy or a girl or young or old or whatever. Everybody thinks they can sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. As soon as you tell people you're in sales, I fucking this, that. Okay, cool. Show me. Like, do it. Just do it. If you want to do it, do it. You'll either fail or be successful, and you won't know until you try. So if
Yeah.
you're a girl, fucking go for it. Like, don't let. There's no. I don't know. I never really saw any. I wasn't intimidated by the sales floor. Man, I don't know. That's a weird question to ask me because I just don't know how to answer it. Go
Well,
for
no,
it. If you think
that's
you can
fine.
sell, go for it.
No, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. And I love that too because as a sales manager, I'm looking through all these resumes, and you're right. Everyone thinks they can try, and then you know most people 2 or 3 weeks in, they're like,
Well,
what do you-
but one thing though, like one thing about that, from what I've seen in the last almost 20 years I've been doing this, is that the majority of success comes from two types of people. Like it's a mixed bag. Everybody has different ways. Did you just put balloons on me?
I don't know what that's all about, but I didn't.
I don't know. It's fucking.
I saw
Anyway,
it. Did you just put balloons on?
it's
Wasn't me.
okay. That's my cue. That's
Yeah,
my cue.
I didn't touch it.
I don't even remember where I was going. Oh yeah, no, right. Okay, the two types of people that I feel are successful in the car business is, you can either have like a really cool personality and you're charismatic. Maybe you're fucking lazy and you don't prospect or follow up, but you're just real easy with customers. They come in, they like you, they buy from you, and it's just like a hot knife through butter, just a real smooth process. Or you can have someone who's really average in like every sense of the word, but they work really hard and they follow process to a T. So, everybody thinks they can sell. You're going to fall into one of those two categories. Or from what I find, most people in between don't make it. So you're
Right.
either going to make it if you're cool, if you work hard.
That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, that's about it. I'm not
It's
going to
more
go
it's more of
anymore.
an attitude, right? Like that's what I found. It's just more of an attitude. Like I'm looking at a resume and as a sales manager, it's like I don't really care where you worked.
Yeah.
I need to talk to you. I need to see what kind of person you
Well,
are.
for sales in general, like there's really no threshold for skill or experience.
Mm-hmm.
You either, you have a desire to do it and you have a good attitude or personality, and that's it. That's all it takes to qualify for a position.
You got to be the right kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect way to end it. So, thanks again for doing this. It was a lot of fun. I know I'm going to get lots of fun clips out of this. We're going to get a lot of laughs, and I think people are going to enjoy this. So, thanks again for doing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Taylor.
Cheers.